position that will hear from candidates will be Seattle City Council position 8, District 8. So we have a representative from Team Burgess here.
Sorry, for that first one, can we take a 1 minute time out because the candidates will be on their way. Do you want to?
Well, we have several. We have 3 people now.
Okay, so
We have a lot of candidates.
okay, just checking. You have 2 minutes.
All right, I'll try and take 2 minutes. My name is Sarah Day, and I'm here representing Council President Tim Burgess. He's running for re-election for Seattle City Council position 8, which is citywide. I believe that Tim Burgess is a pragmatic leader. He's an effective, he brings people together. And I should have mentioned that he regrets that he can't be here this evening, but does want to seek reinforcement of the 11th district. He's at a couple of other events this evening, as I'm sure others are. But Council President Burgess he championed the preschool program last year, which this year we're going to open our first classrooms for Seattle. This is a pilot year. We're really excited because eventually we will have universal pre-K in Seattle. That is Council President Burgess's goal. Council President Burgess also was a key vote in the $15 minimum wage. And we're very lucky that we're now at 11, and in a couple of years we'll be at 15. We were one of the first cities in the country to get to 15. Council President Burgess also, a couple of years ago, spearheaded with a resolution to do research to implement the linkage fee, which now we're having an affordable housing crisis in the city, and Council President Burgess is a key proponent of the linkage fee and building really concrete solutions for affordable housing. I feel like I should stop now.
You're done.
I'm done. Thank you.
So any questions?
Crazy, tell me the question. This isn't my day job, so.
All right. Given the current challenges with community policing, what would Tim Burgess do to improve the relationship of the Seattle Police Department with the citizens they serve?
Sure. So Councilmember Burgess was a key. He helped basically interview and select our new police chief, Kathleen O'Toole, and she I think has been incredible in bringing a new energy to the police force. There's actually a policy that he has challenged, which would essentially restrict the police department from hiring outside, chiefs and higher-ups. And he is championing the fact that we need to start hiring from outside of Seattle sometimes if we don't have the people that we need. He definitely wants us to prioritize hiring from within because that's very important. But as we've seen some cases recently coming up where there's racial profiling, these disturbing things going on, he definitely believes that we need the most talented folks in our police force. And I think he believes in having the police department in the streets and really being with the people in the community.
This question is very specific to Tim. In the past, before this group, he's defended virtually the entire Patriot Act and its ramifications top to bottom. Given recent court rulings about metadata, stingray use, and other such things, has that position changed?
Honestly, I'm not sure about that. I can't answer that question.
Would Tim consider taking the minimum wage a step further and actually indexing it to inflation going forward?
I think that Tim, he supports the minimum wage. I mean, he supported the he supported the ordinance, but I can't necessarily answer beyond that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Jon Grant, or Jon Grant.
Hello, I'm John Whitehall. I'm speaking for Jon Grant, who's running for the position, the at-large position, with Tim Burgess and some other candidates. I think the first question people ask John, so I'll help answer that, and thank you for the clock. is, well, what about Tim Burgess? He's on the council now. We have an opportunity in Seattle to be a real incubator for progressive change. We saw that with the minimum wage, and we saw that with paid sick leave. But Tim Burgess was not a leader on those issues. He was a follower. He was one of the last folks to come along, and even on minimum wage, he proposed a training wage, which would have watered down the minimum wage. And it's important because if you look in the news today, in Los Angeles, they passed in their city council a $15 minimum wage. So you can see the effect of a very progressive council and what it can do in other cities. And we have more issues coming up like that. Equal pay for women. As many people have talked about, out of 50 cities in the country, Seattle is last when it comes to paying women the same as men. And we need to do something about it. We have affordable housing issues. Jon Grant is the former executive director of the Tenants Union. He has a lot of ideas. You can go to his website at electjongrant.com. Basically, they revolve around ensuring that developers start paying their fair share. He's the strongest proponent of a linkage fee of all the candidates running in this position. Finally, we have, like many cities around the country, a lot of special interests and a lot of money interest driving politics in Seattle, especially downtown developers. Tim Burgess opposed public financing. Michael Bryan asked for that to go up on the ballot, and Tim Burgess wouldn't let that happen. That's not progressive. That's the opposite. Jon Grant is for the initiative that will be on the ballot this year. So that's why I'm asking you to support Jon Grant. Thank you for your time today.
What is his position on Seattle policing, the relationship with the community, body cameras, and other accountability tools?
Sure. He's a strong proponent of community policing, and folks can look at his website. There's a section on there that talks about that. Let's remember that during the time that the Department of Justice did a consent decree, Tim Burgess was the chair of the Public Safety Committee. So there's two problems that happened. One is that we had 240 instances of excessive force that happened that the Department of Justice saw. And then here's the worst problem. None of those police officers were fired. Not one. One resigned, but 239 are still on the police force. That's the kind of unacceptable thing we've got to change.
So $15 minimum wage is a good start. However, there's a lot of other challenges to make the city actually livable for people who are not at the South Lake Union level.
Sure.
What other policies would you like to see implemented by the city council, and how would your candidate actually try and push those through?
Right. Well, like I said, John's the former executive director of the Tenants Union. So he's very interested in affordable housing. And I think you start with linkage fees. The other problem that we have is the state has a law that says that local jurisdictions cannot do anything about rent. So right now in the city of Seattle, if a landlord wants to double your rent with no notice, they can do that. And they do it all the time. We need to say from the city council, and we're going to need the 5 votes to do this, we're going to have to be strong and say to Olympia, that law needs to be changed. Tim Burgess is not willing to do that. He has not come out and said he will do that. Jon Grant will do that.
That's all we have.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. My name is Jon Persak. All right. Running for citywide, position number 8. Glad to be home here in the 11th district. I live here in Georgetown. I know that there's a lot of action going on up north, but thought it would be important for me to be here tonight. We're running for 4 major reasons. I believe that transportation has to be solved. It turns out that we have a tunnel boring machine that's still not working. We need to protect our city from any potential cost overruns so that we have the ability to fund our transportation improvements, which has not kept pace with growth. Secondly, we are in an affordable housing crisis, and that goes for renters as well as homeowners. And we need to address that through multiple strategies, not just rent control, not just linkage fees, but also mother-in-law apartments, accessory dwelling units, et cetera, et cetera. Development has taken off fairly quickly. It's left a lot of neighborhoods in the dark in terms of where it's going. People feel that they're losing their communities, and they need to be able to partner with our city when it comes to planning with our population growth. Police reform is a very important issue, and there's been a lot of discussion about that tonight, and I agree with pretty much everything that's been said. In addition, we have to make sure our officers are deployed in all parts of the city when there are problems, and not just the parts where there's a lot of money. So, I work at the Port of Seattle. I'm a union longshoreman, and it's great to be talking to you in a union hall. And if you ever want to talk about the problems of the port, I'm your guy. And I can tell you that I can go to City Hall and I can make the city understand what our problems are at our port, so that the city and the port can be working together instead of fighting with one another. And with that, thank you very much, Jon Persak, position number 8.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned transportation. Specifically, what would be one thing you would attempt to get changed, and how would you go about changing it to improve the transportation situation in Seattle?
You know, we need to look out 50 years for our transportation solutions, and there's two major areas that I would look at. One is grade separation, particularly out of Ballard and out of West Seattle. We can no longer build on the surface. We have to either go over or we have to go under. And the second thing is east-west connectivity. Going east-west, whether you're in a car or on a bus or any other mode of transportation, is very difficult because of the geographical constraints. And so those are the two major issues that we must solve, and we have to have a plan 50 years out to accommodate all the growth that's coming.
One other issue you mentioned was you feel that one of your credentials is your relationship with the port. Given the current dispute between the port and the city, where do you feel the middle ground lies, or do you feel that the city or the port needs to give in on their position?
The middle ground is this. The port messed up. That's very clear. And if the port cancels their lease, the taxpayers of the city are going to be paying a lot of money for a lawsuit that the port's going to lose. The out is that the city needs to partner with the port to make sure that that terminal at 5 becomes containers as soon as possible, so that it's retrofitted to create the jobs we need for middle-income people, so people who aren't working at the South Lake Union level have a place to go, and that port is the port of first call for international trade coming to our city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have another candidate for position 8 or representative? Yes. You're representing who?
Position 9.
For 8. So okay, we're going to position 9 now.